كله الحمد لله ولك الشكر كله الحمد لله على كل حال وبعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات سيجعل له الرحمن ودا صدق الله خالقنا العظيم وقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في عظمة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما تحب وترضى بأن تصلي عليه صلاة وسلاما عليك يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين. All praise are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for affording you and I the opportunity of presenting ourselves this evening for a very spiritual and blessed program. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our presence and accept our invocation and supplications that we will make here today, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala infuse in us the love for the awliya ikram, infuse in us the adab for the awliya ikram, and may we benefit and extract the phase of the awliya ikram. Allahumma ameen, qabil ameen. We have people of knowledge that are here. We have people of intellect. We have people that are very close to many karamat. And I come from a place in Durban that has a few karamat comparatively to Cape Town, which when I spoke to someone the other day and he said his sheikh from Pakistan had told him that in Kashmir that he had been told that there's over 300 karamat in Durban. Allah wa Rasuluhu a'lam. Allah and His Rasul know best. Once again, I would like to, at first, thank and say shukran to the Urus Committee for having the trust in me and giving me this opportunity of being here again and having the confidence in me for me to be here and to speak about a personality that you know better than I. But I'm going to try my best, and at the same time we also have, I've seen Muslim Bada somewhere around here. Assalamu alaikum to you. I didn't personally greet you, but no disrespect, you are in the program. So we have people that of status that are here, and may Allah give them the ability to continue with the sterling work that they are doing. Ameen. So when we look at, I have a long speech, but I'm just going to do 15 minutes. When we look at our personal self, Allah has given us a distinction. And the distinction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us is, He had instilled in us the love for the awliya ikram. That's the first thing that we need to understand. And when Allah has given us that distinction and that distinguishing quality, we need to now try to maintain that. And when we look at the awliya ikram, it is a very expansive topic. It is not something that can be done within 10-15 minutes or even half an hour or even an hour, because this group of people, Allah speaks about them in the Holy Quran, and then there are many ahadith that speaks about this great personality. So we don't want to get too much into the very nitty-gritty stuff, but we just look at the very basics. So I have prepared a speech that is going to help us to identify and develop, create more love for these great personalities. So this is our way of showing adulation or showing respect for the awliya ikram, where we assemble, we gather, we think of them, we give niyaz in the names, and we have a program as what we have seen. And this is something that I have found that very a norm in Cape Town, where they must have Ratib, and for me Ratib in Durban is not something that we see. And that is something which I look, and when I take back home and I speak to the people and say, when I see small kids coming out in front and taking the name of Allah and using the sword. The gentleman sitting next to me, he showed me a little cut that he has got. And the same sword the youngster was using. So this is min Allah, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is all about faith. So what we need to understand, the heart envies the eyes when it sees the beloved. The heart envies the eyes when it sees the beloved, but the eye envies the heart which has a communion with the beloved. So we need to understand, with our perceptive sensory, that is the eye, right? We can, by the virtue of the eye, we cannot see this great personality, but our love for him is immortalized, meaning that it is immortal in our hearts for this great personality. And Hazrat Shah Abdul Latief, when you look at Rahimahullah, when you look at his life, I've just got a very basic information which I asked, and then I just built on that. Hazrat Abdul Latief Shah Al-Ansari Al-Qadri Rahimahullah is a personality that kept his friendship with Allah's friends, with the Awliya Ikram. So his friends were who? His friends were the Awliya Ikram. That's one. The other thing that we need to take from that is that why making the statement is that when you look at his birth date coincides with the urs of the great personality that is buried here. And that is none other than Hazrat Abdul Latief Shah Qazi Rahimahullah, who is the brother-in-law of Hazrat Sufi Sahib. So this is a connection that from the beginning, from the inception. You know, there is something that we have forgotten, that when a child reaches the age of 4 or 5, they have something that is called Bismillah Khani. They make a teacher will come to the house and will make the child to recite Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So when I look at this was his institution of learning, that he had got a basic phase from this great personality that lies here buried in Cape Town. That's one. The other thing what I find interesting is that his mom, Nawwarallah Marqadaha, his mom was the murid of Allama Muhammad Alim As-Siddiqi Rahimahumullah. These are very great personalities. And when you look at Hazrat Abdul Latief Shah, we find that he was the murid and khalifa of Dr. Fazlur Rahman Al-Ansari, who was the teacher, who was the student of MOULANA Abdul Alim Siddiqui. So you can see there is a connection of education and the connection of faith in his line of work. That's what we need to understand. And then at the same time, the nisbah and the association and the affinity that he had with the Awliya Ikram has been something that we need to look at. Why I'm saying this is, when we look at his status, right? He had, I was told, a vision of 30% of vision. But although having this basic deficiency, and I know, and perhaps you will know, when a person has a problem in the eye, it has a lot of other complications. And I know because my wife has a problem currently. So he had this deficiency, but it did not let him stop him from what he had to do. And although he had this, because he was the friend, and he befriended the Awliya Ikram, he established the Bazaar Society in 1982. And up to today, we have people, personalities like Mr. Ibn Bar and others that are now holding court. So you can see that he did not sit back. So this is a lesson for the devoted Urus committee and his followers, that they need to continue, because he left a legacy. And this is something we need to look at. We look at great personality, like for example, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. What the legacy that he had left. You know, when we pass away, people want to talk about you. So we have to make sure that we leave beneficial legacy. So Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he left a legacy of what? Of monotheism. Of monotheism, meaning that the oneness and tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you look at his time, during his time, there was no one, a Muslim, but him and his blessed wife, Sayyida Sarah alayhi salatu wasalam. And then again, the women that are seated here, you need to understand that it is your effort also. You know, we say that behind every successful man, there is a woman. And most of the time we attribute it to whom? To our wives. But this is when you look at the awliya ikram, we'll find that most of the time they will need to attribute it to their moms. If you look at Imam al-Ghazali rahimahumullah, his mother was instrumental in his tarbiyah. When you look at Sayyidina Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala an, we find that his mom was also instrumental in his. We look at Imam Shafi'i rahimahumullah, we find that his mom was the person that was behind his learning. So when we look at all of these things, what we need to understand that the females, because they give birth to great personalities. They are the ones that give birth to great personalities. And when I go back and look at this legacy of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, and then also, I'm not coinciding it, but I'm just giving an example, that his mother, Shaykh Abdul Latief's mother, rahimahullah, that she had this affinity with ulama. And therefore he had this affinity also with education. So when you look at the mother of Hazrat Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, that when she has been left in the desert, a barren land, there was nothing in that at that time. So Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam leaves her with his son Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. So she asked that, Aina tadhab, where are you going? You're leaving us in this barren land. And he doesn't answer, he just continues walking. Then she said, Allahu, did Allah ta'amuruka? Did Allah give you the instruction to leave us here? And he said, Na'am. He said, then la yuhzika Allah abada. That indeed, Allah will never ever leave us alone. So we also need to acknowledge the women folks that are alive, because obviously they also play an important role in the lives of the awliya ikram, in the lives of great scholars, because obviously they are the ones that bring great personalities into this world. When we look at the ayah that I presented, I'm just going to skip to my ayah. Right? The ayah that I presented, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. Now this ayah comes in Surah Maryam, right? It is the 19th Surah, verse number 96. So what it means, it says that إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, indeed those that bring iman. Now we need to understand there's a difference between the iman. Iman is just a statement. But when you look at each one's iman, there is a different level and different category. So, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, those that bring iman, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, they perform righteous deeds, good acts. Allah says, سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا, that Allah will place in the heart affection for them. Therefore, when you look at the awliya ikram, people have the affinity, they have the affection, they have the love, because Sayyaj'alu Rahman, Allah is saying that I will place the love into the people's heart to love my friends. So this is one we need to understand. The other important fact is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has conferred upon a man a lot of emotions. One of the important emotions we need to look at is muhabba, is the love. And Islam is also based on muhabba, on love. Because everything you do not need logic. Everything you do not need logic to verify. If logic is going to be applied every way, then we're supposed to be washing underneath, making masa underneath our feet, not on top of our feet. You know when you're making masa? We make masa on top. But what touches the ground? The bottom. But we need to understand where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala infused in us muhabba, as I said at the beginning. And when we look at the iman, what were their iman? Their iman is based on reliance, trust. Their iman is based on obedience. Their iman is based on loyalty. And ultimately, what they do is they fortify and strengthen themselves in the path of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning that they associate themselves with Allah. And when you associate yourself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is a powerful force. Why I say it's a powerful force is because that is the force that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you look at the awliya ikram, and with whom they associate themselves with, we find that they are, the signal that they give off is perfect. There is no deficiency, there is no defect, it doesn't shut down, there is no load shedding in their signal. Because when you look at the purpose of what is GPS, right? GPS, global positioning system, right? These are the personalities that, for example, if a person wants to know where he is, right? What he does, he puts his phone on and he finds out. But how does he find where he is? It is because of there are 3 or 4 satellites. There's over 30 satellites in the world. 3 or 4 satellites able to connect, and it tells him exactly where he is. So when we look at ourselves as normal people, when we have the affinity with the awliya ikram, right, and we connect ourselves with them, they are able to connect. Remember, this connection is not lip service. It's not because I'm going to become your murid and I'm going to get something from you. I become your murid and I want khalifa. I want to become a khalif. No, you have to work for it. And when you look at the awliya ikram, they work. They did not just attain it. Gone are the days where you find people turning to the right, everyone become a wali. That was the time of Sayyidina Hazrath radiallahu ta'ala. Now we need to understand, you need to walk on the path of tariqah and the path of sharia first before you can get to tariqah. We haven't perfected sharia as yet. We haven't perfected. We have to still work on it, yes. But when you hold the daman of the awliya ikram, they'll take you through that path. They'll help you through that path. And they will give you that tariqah. But it is something that you will have to continuously work. And where's the problem? The problem is us, your ego. These are our idols. You know, when we look at Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, where it talks about that he had smashed the idols at one time. He had destroyed them. Now we need to look at what are our idols. What are our idols? Our ego, our pride, our addiction, all of this. These are our idols. This is what we need to kill. You know, we're going to be slaughtering an animal. Alright? And I always say, this is my opinion view, that an animal that you're going to slaughter is done. It doesn't know. Whether you slaughter 1, whether you slaughter 10, that is left entirely upon you. But what is actually we are doing? What we're actually doing is we're performing a sacrifice that coincides with the sunnah of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. But when you look at the sunnah and you look at Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, what he had to sacrifice to ultimately become Khalilullah. He didn't just become, and he's Allah's prophet. And he knew he makes a dua. And if you look at I think the dua comes in Surah Al-Mumtahina, the 96th surah, if I can for correction, Surah Mumtahina, verse number 4 and verse number 5, for your perusal, please read it. There's a dua that is there, that Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam makes, and he says that رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْنَا فِتْنَةً لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, that do not put us in a fitna, that among those people that have rejected you. Right? And he also makes another dua. رَبَّنَا وَاجْعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ لَكَ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِنَا أُمَّةً مُسْلِمَةً لَكَ وَأَرِنَا مَنَاسِكَنَا وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ. This comes in Surah Al-Baqarah. That when you look at Sayyidina Ibrahim Islam, he is a prophet of Almighty Allah. But look at his humility, he's teaching us. He's saying to Allah, رَبَّنَا, that, oh Allah, وَاجْعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ, make us Muslim, meaning that make us Muslim that are submissive. Because a Muslim is a person that submits to the will of Allah. Muslimaini laka, that for you we submit. وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِنَا, and he doesn't do that himself. He is not selfish. He makes this dua for everyone. Right? مِن ذُرِّيَّتِنَا, and وَأَرِنَا مَنَاسِكَنَا, and he says that give us the ability to understand this manasik. The Hajj, many of us went for Hajj, right? And had been gone for Hajj. So this is something which he had made, a dua. So when you look at these great personalities, they always showed humility in their dua. And lastly, and our time is up. Lastly, tomorrow we attribute the day as Father's Day, right? So I was looking at the hadith and what should I mention, because it is a topic which I wanted to discuss also, but obviously I'm not going to make excuse time. We have to respect the time. But anyway, you know, we look at getting Hajj Thawab. Many of us know this hadith, where Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had said, and as I said to you, all starts at home. all tarbiyah, all everything else starts everywhere else, but when it comes to the deen, your religion, it starts from home. What? Is the adab for your parents. Right? So, the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, "Ma min waldin bari." That whichever child, barin, who is good, yanzuru ila walidayhi, who looks at its parents or parent, depending on how many he has alive. Right? Nadratan rahmah. You know, there is different looks. Ask the woman folk and ask yourself. Right? There are different looks that you can give to one another, and it tells you, you are able to read whether it's a look of love, whether it's a look of affection, a look of, you know what, you need to move from here. Don't stand, you need to move. So, what I'm saying is that nadrat and rahmah, that you, just by looking a glance at your parents with the eyes of mercy, you know what's the eyes of mercy. Illa kataballahu, but Allah records for you, bikulli nazratin hajjatan mabrura. For each of your nazar, Allah grant you hajj mabrur. How difficult it is fixed. How difficult it is to just open your eyes and look at your mom and your dad with the eyes of rahmah and attain hajj sawab. So let us do that. Let us not confine it just for one day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me the understanding of the awliya ikram, protect us and give us the ability to understand this great religion. وَأَقُولُ قَوْلِي هَذَا وَاسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ لِي وَلَكُمْ وَلِسَائِرِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ فَاسْتَغْفِرُوهُ إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Jazakallah for your undivided attention. Shukran.
Nare Takbir, Nare Risalat, Ulama Ahl Sunnah.